Okay, the Georgia Bulldogs wrap up a 45-23 win over the Buffalo Bison. It was a good, not great day for Georgia. I think that for the most part, the offense played, okay. It wasn't unstoppable. It was not tremendously efficient. I think more than anything, it showed their big playability and leaving some things on the table like they did with, Tavares' should have been catch in the corner over here, and then certainly in the student end zone, Rantavius Wooten's throw to Keith Marshall should have been a touchdown for sure. But I think the day definitely goes to Todd Gurley, who was I guess amazing to some degree. Everybody knew he was good. I've been talking about how good he's been for a while, but to go for 227 total yards, all-purpose yards with three touchdowns, a 55-yard run. Nobody's crying over Isaiah Crowell leaving now, and I think that's going to be the narrative from here on out. It's an hour after the game for me, so I think it'd be great if Georgia had Isaiah. They don't, but they sure seem to have somebody who can replace him quite easily. And then let's not forget Keith Marshall, almost 5 yards a carry today. He looked good too. He really did look good. He barely missed, probably taking it the distance twice that I saw, and he confirmed that to me. But 9 months later, after two disappointing losses, definitely the disappointing loss against Michigan State, and then the one in Atlanta cost Georgia the SEC championship. They got some work to do this week. The question will remain, are Alec and Rambo suspended for the Missouri game like everyone suspected in the spring? Now there's some question as to if that will be the case. My guess is I don't really know. I mean, it could be either of the two. Malcolm Mitchell not being out there is not great. John Theus getting an ankle injury is not great. But this did not look like a top 10 team. Nobody's looked like a top 10 team yet. I mean, I thought South Carolina looked rough at a minimum, and they weren't really missing anybody. Georgia's missing a fair amount of their defense, but this team continues to score at a pretty big clip. Haters are going to hate. They're going to not like this performance too much. I thought the offensive line played well at times, and then I thought the guards got a little bit of ways to go. I thought the tackles were fine. But, we'll see how it goes for Georgia. If the zone read was a problem this week, I'd hate to see what it's going to be like next week against Mizzou, because James Franklin's going to be able to do what he kind of wants. Aaron was probably efficient today, but if you're the offensive line, you've given up 3 sacks, one of which was just a failed read option. But if you're giving up a couple of sacks to Buffalo, I think that would kind of disappoint me, but still, 3 touchdowns for Aaron, 258 yards, 15 of 26. Essentially you flush this game as soon as it's over. I thought Marshall Morgan did a better job of collecting himself as the game went on. So kudos to him. Georgia's going to need him. And I thought Georgia's punt game was pretty effective, perhaps out kicked the coverage once. But, these Bulldogs were about 50% on third down. The defense is not. That's just not the same defense we're going to see. So it's hard to get in there and say, hey, what's wrong? Well, what's wrong is you're missing a pretty good player at the back 7, essentially back 8, if you want to call it that. With its Alec and Sanders and Bakari, Malcolm Mitchell would have been a starter today. So it adds up. Now, will it matter next week? I mean, we know Sanders is out for sure. We know Chase Vassar, who would have started, was out, and he'll be out this next week. Will these other guys be out? Good question. Nobody knows the answer to that. We probably won't know the answer until they actually arrive in Missouri, because they won't. I doubt very seriously they'll take them on the travel squad if those guys are not playing. Obviously, Sanders and Chase will not make the trip, but Rambo and Ogletree, if they made the trip, that means they're playing. So that will be the leading indicator. But wrapping up Georgia's nearly doubling up of Buffalo today. It was a good, not great day for Georgia. You don't win the national championship or the division on September 1st. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. Georgia's got a little bit of ways to go. Seems like they don't have as far a ways to go as some of these other teams in the SEC who have just looked here and there. So Georgia, big win today for the Bulldogs. Next week, very big matchup with Missouri.